Good afternoon, everyone. We're back at it again. This time a little bit of a different one. We're going to be doing the sand prawn demonstration. I don't want to call it fishing for bronze bream because the amount of different species that you can catch on sand prawn is probably even better than sardine itself. Everything will eat it. Everything in the sea will eat sand prawn. Grunters, cob, your punsies eat it, your mussel crackers eat it, blacktails eat it. There's nothing you cannot catch on a sand prawn. But where do you get these sand prawn? In most of our lagoons, on the shallower sandbanks, you take your prawn pump, go and have a look for it. It's a little bit of a hard work in some places to get it, especially down here in the Galjoen lagoon. And I think, and I might stand to be corrected, you're allowed 50 per person per day. I don't think there's a size limit on them, but you basically get two different types. You get the one which is called the sand prawn. A lot of the guys, especially in this area, call it the pink prawn. And then you get one that is your mud prawn, which lives sort of in the muddier areas. That looks a slightly little bit different to what your pink prawn does. If they can just sit still on the board and I can get it. So that darker one over there is your mud prawn, and this one over here will be the sand prawn. Now I'm going to show you the two ways in how I rig my mud prawns and how I rig my sand prawns. I've tried mud prawns in the sea quite a few times. It has brought a little bit of a success on it, but I prefer sticking to the sand prawn, especially for fishing for bronze bream in the summer months and things like that. But let's get on to it. You'll see on my trace over here, I've got a little red float. Now a lot of guys, when they say make a bronze bream trace, you've got to have a red float on it. I'm not personally convinced that the red float does anything to attract fish, but what I do know is this little red float that we put on, I put it on especially after you've baited up. When you throw in, your bait will lie sort of on the bottom where the rocks and everything are. Now as the fish pick that bait up and they start pecking on it, obviously your hook becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. Now with less bait, that goes and sits, if you don't have a little float there, that goes and sits in the rocks. When you try reel it in, your hook sometimes hooks onto the rocks and you've got to break off. So that little float just helps it to bring the hook back up to the top. So when you're reeling in, it keeps your hook away from the rocks and from losing and snagging up in that. How I rig up my prawn bait, especially with the pink prawns, depending on the size of them. If they're the nice big pink prawn like you get in, or sand prawn like you get in the Krom River, I'll probably only use 2. I'm going to use 3 over here because they're fairly small. So I'll take my first one, take the hook, I'll stick the hook through his head, and I'll bind the first one using that as a base for the other ones that I'm going to put on. Once again, just as I did with the red bait, it's not a lot of cotton. You're not going to bind it, and there's not a lot of cotton that goes on the head of the prawn. You want to keep that head as alive as possible with the most movement coming out of it. So number 1 is the base. If you can get your cotton to play along. So there's your base. That's your first prawn. Now to take the rest, you can see the head of this prawn is still moving. Still got some movement on it. There's no cotton on the head itself. It's all lying just on the body. So that's your base prawn. And you take your other 2 and you lie them exactly next to the one that you used as a base. So that's going to look like that. And you take your latex again and tie it. I'll start tying my latex cotton just from behind the head of the prawns. Once again, guys, don't use a lot of cotton. You're just going to end up with a ball of cotton after your 3rd throw and your hook has been eaten clean. Most of it up on the top. And that is your simple sand prawn bait. The head of the prawn is still nice and loose. There's still a lot of movement on it. It's nice and fluffy. You're not going to get that peck like I said to you with the red bait demonstration. You tie it on too much, all they're going to do is try and get through the cotton the whole time. Your little float, some guys put it up the line. They put a little toothpick in it so that it stays on one place. I just let mine slide up and down. So that's basically your sand prawn. When it comes to the mud prawn, I do it a little bit differently. Now, a mud prawn, I've only got one of these mud prawns. I was quite surprised to get it in the Galjoen's lagoon. The mud prawn, especially the ones that are in the Grunter's river, are fairly big. So I don't use any cotton. I take my hook, and from the underneath of the tail of the mud prawn, I'll put the point in and just slide that mud prawn all the way till the hook comes out right in the front. Now if I had two, I would show you the rest of it, but this one here, I take it and I slide this one up the line. This is mainly if I'm fishing for grunters, and I will take a second mud prawn. Let's just say that this sand prawn is a mud prawn, but you can do the same with sand prawn as well. Same place in the back of the tail, and you slide it all along the center of the body till it comes out by the head. Now this is an awesome grunter bait. It's got a lot of movement, and all I do is I pull both those prawns together, and that's how I'd fish for my grunters. I was fishing in the lagoon, fishing on the sandbanks, especially in the Grunter, especially with those bigger mud prawns, because you get a fairly big bait out of it. And that's as easy as that is. Remember your floats, keeps the hooks off the ground. You won't be losing a lot of tackle. And I hope you guys get into some fish. Tight line.